Yo, I'm sure many of y'all are familiar with Ben Parker, Spider-Man's uncle, who most famously said,
"Remember, with great power comes great responsibility."
Well, this all came to head over on Twitter when a user criticized Marques Brownlee, one of the biggest YouTubers and names in tech, over a review of a humane AI pin. Daniel Vasello tweeted, "I find it distasteful, almost unethical, to say this when you have 18 million subscribers. Hard to explain why, but with great reach comes great responsibility. Potentially killing someone else's nascent project reeks of carelessness. First, do no harm." So this AI pin is a device you carry with you. You put it on your shirt, and Marques reviewed it harshly. And I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but basically called it hot freaking garbage. Actually, that's probably what I think he should have said. Instead, being a nicer, kinder human being, he just said that it was the worst product he's ever reviewed. Meanwhile, in the video, he kind of pointed out all the pros of the device and said, hey, here's some of the cons. He found it to be useless and disappointing, which is no surprise because, well, the product itself is useless and, well, disappointing, considering that it costs $700 and a $20 a month subscription on top. But apparently, some on Twitter took offense to this, arguing that it was irresponsible and unethical for Marques to make such a strong statement against the device, which obviously led to a debate on Twitter regarding the responsibility of influencers. Critics said that Marques should have been more considerate, especially given that this wasn't the first time he had made such a bold review. Now, I don't know if you remember, a little while back, Marques had reviewed Fisker, an electric car maker. He didn't hold back in his video over all the bugs and problems he encountered. He fairly pointed out that the car's software was extremely buggy and felt incomplete and just not usable. His review even caught the attention of Fisker execs, and more importantly, investors, causing the stock to plummet. Fisker didn't directly respond to the video, at least not that I know of, but the dealer who Brownlee had gotten the car off of released a video with an engineer from Fisker talking about how Brownlee, came about having the car and that he was assigned to come in and help fix the issues. That whole conversation was a little shady, kind of like, oh yeah, we see that there's some problems and kind of just want to get some details on how Brownlee got the car, and we just want to come and make things right. We just want to come in and fix things. Which is funny, but like, imagine you had an issue with your car and were just a simpleton with 300 odd followers on Twitter at best. Do you think for a second that you'd be getting a custom service call to help make things right? So let's not pretend like influencers don't carry a level of influence, not only with the audiences that they represent, but also the companies on the other end of things. Obviously, now people are arguing that influencers may carry just a bit too much power, and so ought to use it sparingly and responsibly and do no harm. But what about companies? Are they not expected to carry the same level of the Hippocratic oathness that, when they charge you up the wazoo for expensive products that just don't deliver? Why is protecting them in some way more important than the consumer? Clearly, I think this is all next level stupid. The reason influencers like Marques Brownlee have such platforms is due to the trust that they've built over the years with their audience. If they were to start holding back or kind of boosting things for no apparent reason, well, the audience would figure that out pretty quickly. And BAM! There goes the platform and influence you've worked so hard to build. As an influencer or as a human being, I'm reminded of one of my favorite lines from Scarface when Al Pacino, as Tony Montana, said,
"All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one." Do you understand?
Now, I agree that just disparaging a product or slandering a service for the sheer sake of it, well, that ain't right or justified. And I'm pretty sure that the law and big corporate lawyers would agree that it may not be wise to just disparage a company or its products for views and clout. But slander and defamation laws exist for a reason. But releasing half-baked shit into the wild, well, that's fair game for fair criticism, and it ought to be. It's not Marques' fault that Fisker's software was horrible on a production release, and that its stock tanked when he reviewed it. It's not his fault that Humane made an AI pin that sucks monkey balls and takes twice as long to do what our phones can currently do. The companies and management own that L. Now, our tweeting friend here did go on to say he's not totally against the review, but rather the title he used for it. But to paraphrase Shakespeare, shit by any other name is still shit. Look, tech and product reviews are not new. They've just changed. We used to have Consumer Reports, now we got guys on YouTube. And honestly, there's a level of trust we got with the YouTube guys over the corporate entities. Why? I don't know, authenticity? I was recently in the market for a new car, and as I was doing my research, the places I went to look for information and feedback weren't car magazines or big auto sites. It was finding guys on YouTube who I felt were more relatable. It was looking up owner views and comments on Reddit. One of the nice things about the internet is it made it possible for these people to have a voice, and part of having that voice is building that trust. As an influencer, you either stand for something or you stand for nothing. And your audience, well, if they ain't trusting you, what's the point? Even in the gaming space, we're starting to see a whole lot of this, where successful game launches rely on content creators helping to kind of advertise and boost up a game or an event. But we've also seen the reverse, where people stop believing the creators when they say something's trash because of some personal vendetta. We've also seen what happens when creators break that trust by gassing something up and it ends up being trash, or trashing something that just doesn't deserve it. And people do argue all the time that content creators may have ruined the space as a whole by pushing for things they want at the detriment of others. Like in COD and Halo, people argue that creators and pros made the game focus more on aspects of the games that appease their competitive itch at the cost of the more casual experience, wielding their influence negatively or positively depending on what side you're on yourself. But end of the day, influencers only have influence so long as they have trust. And that trust, well, it ain't easy to make. And it just takes a lapse in judgment to be seen as a sellout and lose it all. So honestly, it's hard to even be mad at that. But end of the day, you gotta be authentic, you gotta be truthful, and you gotta be you. And yeah, I agree, punching up is important, but don't let them suits make you think you're fighting the little guy when they're just mad about their investments. But anyways, those are my thoughts on that. As always, feel free to let me know what you think, especially if you think I'm wrong. Leave an emoji if you watched this far, and hit that like button, and maybe even consider subbing if you're into these kind of rants. Till the next one though, peace.